Welcome back to the Coachable Podcast. I'm your host, Tori Gordon, and today it's just me and you, baby. We're going to have a solo episode and talk about some real shit, okay? And I mean shit. Okay, let me talk. Here we go. So I've been thinking about this topic for a while, and it comes up so often in my own life, in my relationship with my friends, in my relationships with my clients. And I think the best way to start off this conversation is by giving you an example of what we all know is a toxic trait. If you are a dog owner and you leave your dog's shit like lying around for other people to walk through it, it's a big no-no. I'll be one to admit that was me. Once upon a time, that was me. I'm not going to lie. But how disrespectful, how disregarding of other people is it when we do that? Now I'm getting somewhere with this, okay? We do this all the time with our own personal shit. Our issues, our triggers, our insecurities, we leave it out, all spread out on the ground for other people to walk through because we don't take the responsibility of cleaning it up for ourselves. And here's what I want you to know. We're going to get right into this real quick is how can you clean up your shit? How can you own your shit and not make it everyone else's problem? And I'm going to try to not say shit 100 times in this episode, but that's the premise. Okay. Where do we begin to start to clean up our side of the street? Okay. And when I say that, what I'm talking about is your thoughts, your beliefs about yourself, about the world, how your reactions, your triggers, your behaviors, how you treat people, how you treat yourself, how you treat the person in front of you in a line, how you treat the grocery store worker or clerk, how you treat the person that works for you, the person that's under you, right? And all of this stuff matters. I posted something on social media the other day and it got so many reactions. And it says, we blame society. Well, you know what? We are society. So if we want better, we have to do better. And we each have to take responsibility of our little plot of land, our little corner of the universe, which is your body, your psyche, your home, your community, your friend group, yourself. And that is not an easy task, but it is the task that we have been sent here to do. You are not responsible for anyone else's shit besides your own. If you're a parent, I'm not there yet, God willing. I will just bow down to all of you. You've got a little bit more shit than all of us. You've got children. But the real thing is here is like, how can we become responsible adults? A lot of us are children walking around in adult bodies that have not matured and have not grown up and don't know how to wipe our own ass. And today we need to get a lesson in how to do that. This is like spiritual potty training and how to deal with your own stuff. And I don't know how I got so far down the rabbit hole on this whole like analogy, but I hope you guys are picking this up. It's like, if we want a better culture, a society for our children, for the next generation, if we want a better world, we have to be the ones to do something about it and stop wishing, hoping, praying somebody else will do it for us. You know, there was so much of my life, I prayed to God, God send help. God send me an answer. God send help. And he was like, oh, I sent you. You're the help. Go help. And you can start helping make the world a better place by helping yourself get out of your own way so that you can start to clean out the emotional debris that's been left from all of the storms that you've been through that has piled on top of each other over the years of neglect, of abuse, of rejection, of judgment, of cultural conditioning, of society, of expectations, of your parents being there for you, not being there for you, for people breaking your heart, all of the things that we all go through. The pandemic, We were all traumatized collectively, and we're still coming out of the shadows of that and how to re-engage with the world. And as we do that, we will start to notice how we project our stuff onto other people and other people project their stuff onto us. And in order to not hurt the people that we love, we have to heal. We have to look within. Our five senses are powerful. But the thing is, our five senses are pointed outward, externally. Our sight, smell, our hearing, we're all focused on what's outside of ourselves. I hope this conversation, this episode helps you to look inward, look at yourself. There's two ways you can look at your life, okay? And what I'm talking about is frankly radical self-responsibility. Radical responsibility for your life and your experience and your circumstances in your future. There's two ways you can look at it. You can either look at life is happening to me or life is happening for me. And it's always one way or the other, right? It can't be, oh, life is happening to me sometimes and for me some of the time. It's either one or the other all of the time. And my perspective, my opinion is that life is happening for us. But that is a shift in perspective and perception of our circumstances. And I am not sitting here on my high horse as a privileged little girl who's never been through anything hard in her life. Yes, I have privilege. I am so aware of that. And I have also been through adversity, like every single one of you has, regardless of where you come from, what zip code you live in, how much money is in your bank account, or what political status or sexual affiliate, whatever. I don't care. It doesn't matter where you come from. We've all been through things. And I want you to think about the things that you've been through that have hurt you, that have changed you, that have marked you, that have transformed you. And you can look at that and you can say, man, I got dealt a shitty deck of cards, hand of cards. And I don't, it is what it is. And I don't have a choice, and it just happens, and there's nothing I can do about it. And that's one perspective, when we can look out at the world and just cross our arms and be grumpy old people when we get old, and just be like, well, damn, life's hard. And those people too. I was sitting at the park last night. The park is like my new thing. I've realized I've traded over the years of like giving up the bars and drinking and happy hour, and like where you'll find me is at a park for the sunset. And I was looking at this couple that was walking through the park, and they were completely disconnected. And the dog came running over to me, and the old man is so gruff and grumpy, and he's like, come over here. You could just feel his energy and the way that he was moving through that moment, and who knows what he's like in his real life. But it reminded me of people that I've known who've gotten older, and they just have this built up resentment, this bitterness towards life. And there's a lot of internalized anger and rage that hasn't been processed. And that's a whole different episode for a whole different day. I'll give you some tools on how to move that. But ultimately, I think it's a byproduct of feeling like life has happened to us, that we didn't get a say in the matter, that it's unfair. And yes, there are things that happen that aren't fair, that aren't just, that you didn't choose, like a diagnosis, or your child dying, or someone betraying you that you thought would never leave you. Like, these are things that happen, and they are brutal. They are brutally painful. But When my sister was diagnosed with leukemia at 21 years old, my dad sat us down and he said, we have two choices: hope or despair. And we're going to choose hope. That's what he said. And sitting around that little breakfast table as a family, I, for the first time, consciously realized that I had a choice in how I was going to perceive my shitty circumstance. And I wasn't even the one with cancer. But it gave me this glimmer of perspective and hope that there was something to hold on to. And what that led me to was an understanding that actually this was happening for me. I couldn't see it then. And you might not be able to see how what you're going through right now is for you. And if you can't, that's okay. But there will be a day, if you stay clinging on to hope, if you decide right now that there's a hope I want to hold on to, I promise you there will be a day down the road, one day. And it might be in this lifetime. For me, it has been, where I have been able to see how all of the hard things in my life actually happened for my betterment, for my growth, for my evolution. I would not be the woman I'm sitting here as today if I have not been through so much pain. But I choose to see it as these things are happening for me. And now in my life, when shit hits the fan, when things go quote unquote wrong or bad or not according to my plan, or I am upset, I am fearful, I am scared, I am dysregulated, I know, one, that I can look at it and be like, wait, hold up. Things are going crazy. This is an indicator that something is happening for me right now. There is destruction. There is mayhem. There is chaos. There's a storm essentially coming through my life, but it is coming to take away the old and clear a path for something new to come in. And that process is a painful one. I don't want to sugarcoat it. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you guys and be like, it's all love and light. No, it can be brutally difficult and dark sometimes. So if you're in that season right now and you're going through a dark night of the soul and you're like, I don't know if it's ever going to get better. I don't know if I'm ever going to come out of this depression. I don't know if I'm ever going to see the light in the end of the tunnel. I don't know how this divorce is serving me. I don't know how this layoff is helping me. I don't see it, Tori. Like, I am struggling. I hear you. I hear you. Because I am you. Because I've been there. And I have lived through days I thought I would never be happy again. Ever. But I held on to hope. And I used my tools of meditation, of breath work, of mindfulness, of silence, of connecting to my heart, of journaling through all of my emotions and everything I was thinking, even my most raw, my most vulnerable, the times I was so angry with God. I was like Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane, why have you forsaken me, God? I pray, and where are you? And if you are in a season where you feel like God has forsaken you and you're alone and no one's listening to you, I promise you, there is a single glimmer of thread of hope that you can hold on to. And if you do, it will lead you out into the break of day. There is a dawn after that night. There will always be, the sun will rise. And you might be in that long, long, long dark night of the soul. But I promise you the sun will rise. Every storm runs out of rain. But you have to acknowledge you're in the thick of it right now. Okay? choose to see it from a perspective that maybe with curiosity, there is something that is transforming right now. There's something, there winds of change are here, and it might be destructive, but the destruction and the upheaval is what comes and before the creation. My hometown survived a massive F4 tornado in 2011, 2 days before my sister passed away, 2 weeks before my sister passed away, 2 weeks before we had to take Anna off life support. A tornado almost a mile wide ripped through our town, killed hundreds of people, destroyed the city of Tuscaloosa, and including the house that I grew up in. And that city built back. I go home now and there are beautiful businesses, beautiful homes. My home we had to redevelop it, rebuild it. And yes, there was pain in that, but there was creation on the other side. There was newness on the other side. And that is what I want you to cling to. Because if you feel this, I know what it's like to feel like it's not going to get better. But again, I always go back to this thing my dad said, is hope or despair. Like, what other choice do we have? If despair is our only other option, I understand why people get to a point where they say, I don't want to do this anymore. I can't keep going on like this. And those are the people that have lost hope. And I don't want that to be you. It doesn't have to be, because if you can hold on to it, I promise there will be a new day behind it. So those are the two perspectives, hope or despair. Life is happening to me or it's happening for me. And if I choose to see that it's happening for me, then I can choose to see my pain as a gift, my pain as a teacher. I've said this before, but I'll say it again. We live in a culture that teaches you that pain is the enemy, that pain should be avoided at all costs. We are taught to avoid pain and pursue pleasure. Pain isn't the enemy. Not learning the lesson that the pain came here to teach you is the enemy. That's the real opponent that you're up against. So when pain comes knocking, get curious and be like, what are you here to teach me? What are you here to transform inside of me? The pain of losing my sister, the pain of losing my home, the pain of losing my mother, all of these deep relationships that have broken my heart, the pain of those transformed me because I was touched. I was touched by grief. I was touched by loss. I was touched by pain. And those things transform you into a new person. It gave me new perspective on life and the value of it and how much of a gift it is to be alive. And how I don't have time to waste making my shit everybody else's problem. If I want to feel better, I got to do something different. I at least knew that when I was really struggling, you guys. Like, I was about 27 years old. My mom had just passed. I didn't know how I was going to create a life that felt good. All I knew is that I worked really hard to look really good, but I didn't feel that good. And it was a slow process. It was not overnight. It wasn't. But every day I held on to hope. Every day I clawed my way out of that hole that I was in, little by little by little, in these micro moments, these micro decisions of choosing to be responsible for my experience, for my circumstance, and for my future. And I was like, I don't want this anymore. I don't want to be disconnected. I don't want to have relationships where if someone passes, I have conversations I didn't get to have, that I have regret, that I have bitterness. I don't want that living inside my heart. I want love. I want presence. I want connection. I want intimacy. I want authenticity. I want something fucking real. I don't want to live my life going through and wearing a mask and being fake and acting like I'm happy about it. I'm not. There is something so liberating about finally being honest, even if that means I'm being honest about the fact that I am not happy. That's the first step, is the awareness when you stop lying to yourself, and then you can stop lying to everybody else in your life. This is how you start to own your shit. This is how you stop hurting people you love unintentionally, unconsciously, because we haven't been responsible for the things that have happened to us. No, it's not your fault. Like everything that's happened to you that's been painful and hard is not all your fault. It's not. Some of it might be, but there are things that happened to you that you had nothing to do with. So I'm not here to blame you or to shame you at all. And there are real victims in this world of real things. But there is a difference between being a victim of circumstance and living from a victimhood mentality and seeing yourself as a victim of life. And there comes a day where you have to say, I'm not a victim anymore. I'm going to take my power back. I'm going to do something about this because I'm tired of living in these chains and in this smallness, in this contraction. It's suffocating me. And the way you start to own it, the way you start to change and liberate yourself is with awareness. You can't change something you're not aware of. And then as you become aware, that little seed grows, and then you start to see how these things start to impact your relationships, how it's impacting your health, how your unresolved pain or anger or bitterness is impacting the way you show up with your partner, how it's showing up in how you interact with your boss. It's showing up in the way you've completely diminished your creativity. You're completely cut off from it because there is a dullness in your life. And if there's a dullness in your life, I promise you, you can get the spark back. The color can infuse back into your life, but it might not happen overnight. It has to start with saying, I want help. I need help. And sometimes we need outside help, and that's okay too. I'm the first person to tell you, I do not sit in this chair on my own. I sit on the shoulders of so many teachers, of so many guides, of amazing therapists, of a father who has guided and loved me through my darkest days, friends and community who've held me in my utter brokenness. I don't sit here as the woman I am on my own. I didn't get here on my own. I got here because I had help. And you need help. But you have to admit that you might need help. And that's the first step to owning your shit. And here's the thing, owning your shit, asking for help doesn't make it everyone else's problem. It's a gift so that people can support and give the light that they have in them to shine the light on you. Because sometimes you need to borrow someone else's belief for a little while until you have it. Sometimes you got to get around somebody else who's living a little bit healthier to remind you, oh, I like that. I want to do that. Because you borrow their confidence, you borrow their belief until you can find it within yourself. And I've done that. And I continue to do that. So if you want to really start owning your shit, if you want to stop leaving it out for everybody else to walk all over, and then wonder why people don't want to be your friend. People don't want to stay in a relationship with you because, man, like your shit stinks. Like we all have shit that stinks. I do too. But like, are you willing to clean it up? Are you willing to do something about it? If the answer is yes, I want to know. I want to work with you. I want you to message me, DM me, like send a message to our team if that's you, because there is a space for you to hold on to hope and to start the work of cleaning this up, cleaning up the emotional debris, starting to work through your unhealed trauma, starting to process your repressed emotions, starting to express yourself with authenticity, with confidence, with boldness, starting to step into your purpose, starting to get the color and the vibrancy back into your life. There is a process, and I can help you with that. I can take you through that. And it's going to involve looking at some of the past. It's going to involve getting really clear about what you want and who you want to become. And it's going to require commitment. It's going to require you making a choice day after day after day, moment after moment after moment, to choose yourself, to choose cleaning up your little patch of grass on your little corner of the universe and saying, I'm going to make this the best plot it can be. I'm going to grow flowers, a flower garden here instead of weeds. And I know so many of you are living right now in a bed of weeds, and you're like looking at somebody else's garden like, I want that. How do I get that? Or you're watching somebody else online and you're like jealous or envious or comparing. It's not about comparing. It's not about what that person has. You can have that. You can be that. You can become that. But you have to decide that you want that more than you want the comfort of being where you are. Don't let yourself stay the same. You didn't come here to stay the same. You came here to grow a new garden. So decide today. If you want to work with me, I've got open spots for coaching. I would love to open up a space for you. If it's aligned, send me an email to hello@torigordon.com. That will be a great place to start. I'll send you a questionnaire and an application for how you can work with me. I hope this message received you today. I hope this got to the people that needed it most today. And if you listen to it and you know someone who needs this message, my request is that you would share it with them, because you can help save someone's life. You can be that golden glimmer and thread of hope for somebody. And that, my friend, is being a real hero. I love you guys. I will see you next week on the Coachable Podcast.